short-term holders retreat, long-term holders, investors accumulate. I mean, come on, this is not a surprise. We get all the naysayers, all the bears, all the people that panic and blah blah. Hey, they're just, they just don't understand. They come and go, right? You see in the chat all the time people that are new to the channel and they don't quite understand what's going on, and they take their frustrations out. But most of you guys, including myself, of course, we've been in it for so long. We know the right course is just to continue to hold on to DC. That's it. There's nothing else you need to do. But this chart shows you exactly that. You can see short-term holder net position. You can see how big of a drop that is, the red, which means the short-term holders, the retail lettuce hands that have just come in, basically all exited. You could see when we were going up to 73,000, that green spike, that's when FOMO hit. A lot of retail came in, and now they're all leaving, right? But the leaving is good because it's actually a sign of a turnaround, right? It's a bottom point, a capitulation point, and that's usually when we start going back above once again. So no surprise, but just wanted to let you guys know. Also, Tether. A lot of talks about stable coins recently. Tether supply is all-time high. Stablecoin supply in total and cumulative is all-time high right now, right? But here's an important difference in Tether and everything else right now. Tether made $6.2 billion in profits last month. Or last year. Now, if it was last month, it'd be crazy. Last year. This is the reason why, like, Ripple and others want to create a stablecoin, because they want some of the juicy profits. So good for Tether. However, why is this good for Bitcoin? Because Tether takes 15% of their profits and buys Bitcoin with it. So if you do the math, that's a significant amount. That's like close to what? That's hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions of worth of Bitcoin being bought in a single year. So as Tether gets bigger, they go buy more and more Bitcoin. In fact, they're competing with BlackRock in terms of, and MicroStrategy in terms of accumulation, which is good, which is really, really good, right? I just want to share that off the bat because I don't think a lot of people realize that Tether implement this new strategy where they're buying Bitcoin with their profits, right? And they're using that to back Tether. Now, once upon a time, a lot of you guys that are old school, you know that Tether has not always been like this. There were always a lot of FUD around Tether and whether or not they had the funds to back what they minted, and they were being sued left and right. But despite all of that, despite everything, they are now a powerhouse in this space, making billions of profit per year and buying hundreds of millions of Bitcoin per year. They have certainly turned themselves around and changed their tune. CleanSpark, one of the biggest Bitcoin miners out there, is spending $27.5 million to boost their Bitcoin mining. Well, that's okay. They're buying 7 Bitcoin mining sites in Tennessee. I didn't even know Tennessee had Bitcoin mining sites, but that's what they're doing. But you know what? They, along with Mara, not only are they securing the Bitcoin network, they're all growing and making the network stronger. And that's why hash rate and difficulty are all-time high right now, because they are ramping up their operations. But more importantly, they are also accumulating. They are basically keeping what they mine, and they're starting to buy more. We know Mara just recently, raised $300 million and bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin. Right now they have about 26,000. Riot, HUD 8, number 2 and 3, 10,000. And then you got CleanSpark. That's right around 7,500. So these would be considered like the big four right? Even though if you look at like Hive and Cypher, Bitfarms, and everything else, I mean, they have thousands, which is still significant. But if you look at these four, they are definitely the big four, with Mara leading the way, right? But if you add them together, that's like close to 60, 70,000 Bitcoins right there. So again, you know, when it comes to supply and demand, the supply is being gobbled up not only by the miners, by MicroStrategy, by the ETFs like BlackRock, right? Institutions and funds and everyone else in between, and of course long-term investors. We're all fighting for this tiny share of Bitcoin that's left. And there's just not that much to go around. And as demand keeps going up and up and up, this is why the price is going to be driven higher. It's just really that simple. All right, what else is there? Last few things. MACD bullish crossover. That's always bullish. It's on a daily chart. You can see that MACD flipped from deep red to green. We have a crossover. That's always good. Short term, can we see that bump up? Yes, especially with all the macro stuff that's going on and the Fed pivot and everything else. Definitely. But long term, this is where we are. Again, when you overlay our current trajectory with previous cycles, you'll notice that we are exactly where we're supposed to. We were ahead of the game in March and April. We have come down from there, but if you look at where Bitcoin is right now versus previous cycles, we're exactly where we should be. And the fun starts in October. October is the most bullish month for Bitcoin, and you can see the prior two cycles. When did Bitcoin start going up? October. And we are a few weeks away from October, but we're only 1 week away from that very first rate cut. So can we start the rally next week, right after the pivot? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. But there are a lot more juicy gains coming. This is why we're in the game, why long-term holders continue to accumulate. It's really that simple. This is a good chart. I should bookmark this so I could use this as an example later on. All right. What else is there? Yesterday I noted that Sui was pumping like crazy. And I didn't know why, but this explains it. Grayscale added a Sui Trust. Whenever Grayscale adds a trust, it tends to pump things, right? But here's the thing. Grayscale's model is, let's get a whole bunch of trusts and then convert them to ETFs. And that's when the outflow starts. So I don't know if it's actually a good thing or not, but I would just say for now, yes, because I don't see a Sui ETF coming out in the near future. But that explains why Sui went up. But overall, Sui is a nice chain, great ecosystem, and they are still growing by leaps and bounds right now.